Hey YouTube, Kiritwig here, bringing you all an update to my Gaia the Dragon Champion Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for September 2024. Wanted to update the changes I've made to the Gaia deck since the last update to the deck. With the previous update, I tried mixing in the new Dark Magician Gaia support, but as I did more and more practice, I realized it's more of a card to be added in support to a Dark Magician deck and then add Gaia in some form as an engine to the Dark Magician deck, and not really usable with the actual Gaia, the Dragon Champion, as well as with the Dark Magician deck. So I figured I would update it with some of the changes I made, some additional monsters I've added in the Gaia lineup as well for this deck profile. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. For the Gaia monsters, we're writing 3 copies of Gaia the Fierce Knight Origin. It can be treated as 2 tributes for the tributes of a warrior monster. You can only use each of the following effects of Gaia Origin once per turn. You can send one level 5 or higher monster from your hand to the graveyard to special summon this card from your hand, and during the battle phase quick effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard. Target one monster whose current attack is different from its original attack, and its attack becomes its original attack. So with the attack lowering card effects that we have for cards like Gaia the Magical Knight of Dragons, being able to adjust that attack definitely does come in handy to then be able to reuse that card again. And 3 copies of Gaia the Magical Knight. This card's always treated as Gaia the Fierce Knight card. So with this card, if you control no monsters or your opponent controls a monster with 2300 more attack, you can normal summon this card without tributing. If this card's normal or special summon, you can special summon one level 5 dragon monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position. You can only use this effect of Magical Knight once per turn, but that setup is to get your Curse of Dragon type monster onto the field for you then to be able to perform your fusion summon, just being able to have an easy normal summon for your Gaia the Magical Knight on the field for you then to use. And then with this card, for that play, being able to have that special summon resource also, which can be set up with some of our other cards in the deck like Origin for its send and special summon setup. More of the 3 ofs that we run in the deck, 3 copies of Curse of Dragon, the Cursed Dragon. I would say this is the best form of Curse of Dragon to run in the deck. Not that it's the only dragon that we run in the deck. There are other dragons that definitely do help with the play style of the deck. If it's normal or special summon, you can add 1 spell or trap from your deck to your hand that specifically lists the card Gaia the Dragon Champion in its card text. And if it's sent to the graveyard, you can turn on face-up Gaia the Dragon Champion you control, negate the effects of 1 face-up monster your opponent controls with attack less than or equal to it until the end of this turn. You can use each effect of Cursed Dragon once per turn. It's more setup, and that search power for a specific spell or trap gives us options for plenty of cards that we run in the deck to be able to add to our hand. And once again, just being a resource for some of the fusions, needing a level 5 dragon for some of them to be able to go into. And then also for some additional resources, we'll go over some of the dragon resources. I have 1 copy of Curse of Dragonfire and 2 copies of Burning Dragon. Burning Dragon especially, if your opponent controls 2 or more monsters and this card's in your hand, you can special summon this card. This card's normal or special summon. You can discard 1 spell to destroy all spell and traps on the field. So this is more of a board clearing, so you have more power for you to use with your Gaia the Dragon. And the same play I would say for Curse of Dragonfire, being able to target a field spell on the field and destroy it, and once per turn being able to fusion summon using 1 fusion monster from your extract using monsters you control as fusion material, including this card. So another way as a fusion answer if we don't have any of the spells we run in the deck also. For some of the 1-ofs for our monsters, 1 copy of Soldier Gaia the Fierce Knight and 1 Lord Gaia the Fierce Knight. An easy special summon play with Lord Gaia if your opponent controls a monster and you control no monsters. And with Soldier Gaia, quick effect being able to tribute a dragon fusion monster to special summon this card from your hand. And if it's special summon, being able to target attack position monster on the field and change it to defense, and then add 1 level 7 or higher warrior monster from your deck to your hand, except for Soldier Gaia added as a resource for you then to be able to swing into that card for piercing damage. I also run 2 copies of Artillery Catapult Turtle. I'm only running 2 of this. I thought I'd mix around the numbers with this. If you wanted to add a 3rd copy, you could try dropping down 1 copy of Burning Dragon for a 3rd copy of this card. You contribute 1 monster to special summon a Gaia the Fierce Knight monster, level 5 dragon, from your hand or deck. You can use this effect of Artillery Catapult Turtle once per turn. It takes up your normal summon for a big part of it, so that's what you have to remember with this card as well. But as long as you have those resources, you could also tribute Artillery Catapult Turtle for that play as well. And also some other dragons that we run in the deck include 3 copies of Keeper of Dragon Magic. If it's normal or special summon, you can discard 1 card, add a Polymerization normal spell or a Fusion normal spell from your deck to your hand. So with this, the Fusion normal spell would be your Spiral Fusion to then go into your Gaia the Dragon Champion play, and then also being able to have that resource available to you since your fusion that you may go into using Keeper of the Dragon Magic. And then the rest of the main deck monsters, 2 copies of Ghost Mourner and Moonlit Chill. If you wanted to, take these cards out, you could always increase the number of Artillery Catapult Turtle to 3 with this card, and even potentially bump up another spot like Curse of Dragonfire for more monster count if you want to go for more of a pure lineup as well in the deck. for the spells, we run 3 copies of Galloping Gaia. With this card, your opponent can activate card effects during the battle phase while Gaia the Dragon Champion's in your monster zone. You can activate one of the following effects. You can reveal one Gaia the Fierce Knight monster from your hand to add one level 5 dragon from your deck to your hand, or you can reveal a level 5 dragon in your hand to add one Gaia the Fierce Knight monster from your deck to your hand. So it's basically like a vice versa. You'll add the one you don't have to your hand using this field spell. Then having added protection for your battle phase for your Gaia plays is a big part of the setup also. We're also running 3 copies of Gateway to Chaos, so we have more of a search when it's activated to add a Gaia the Fierce Knight monster from our deck to our hand. So added search, you can activate this card and then go right into Galloping Gaia. It's the preferred combo setup I would go into when searching out cards if you have multiples of the field spells. 3 copies of Spiral Fusion, your main go-to fusion play in the deck. Fusion summon 1 Dragon Fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field as fusion material. If you special summon Gaia the Dragon Champion by this effect, it gains 2600 attack, and it can also make up to 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase. So with this card, you basically have that setup for a bigger Gaia the Dragon Champion on the field to be able to swing into your opponent's monsters. And with some cards we run on the deck, you may be able to hit for some piercing damage as well. With cards like Spiral Spear Strike, when Gaia the Fierce Knight, Swift Gaia the Fierce Knight, or Gaia the Dragon Champion on your side of the attacks a defense monster, you inflict piercing battle damage to your opponent. And then also with this card, if Gaia the Dragon Champion inflicts battle damage with this effect, draw 2 cards and discard 1. So ways to go through the deck as well. We only run 1 of this card because it is searchable with one of the other fusions that we run in the deck, but that's why we only run 1 copy of it. Also 2 copies of Ultra Polymerization, being able to pay 2,000 life points to fusion summon, having your opponent not be able to react to it, but also getting those fusion resources back onto the field to reuse again for another play is what I also like about this card. And also 2 copies of Ready Fusion. The Ready Fusion will become apparent when we get over to the extra deck, because we do run a level 2 tuner in the extra deck as well for one of our synchro plays revolving around a Gaia the Fierce Knight monster. And for some of our one-ofs for the spells, 1 copy of Pot of Prosperity, 1 copy of Monster Reborn, 1 Terraforming as well for the field spell search, resource grab with the other 2 cards also. And then for the traps, the only traps that we run in the deck are 1 copy of Spiral Discharge and 1 copy of Spiral Reborn. Other cards that can be searched off of the Curse of Dragon, the Cursed Dragon card, having your opponent's monsters only be able to target Gaia the Dragon Champion for an attack, and with Spiral Reborn being a special summon trap on the field as well. So both different ways to grab resources for you to use on the field. Now for the extra deck, for the Gaia the Fierce Knight or Gaia the Dragon Champion cards, 2 copies of Gaia the Magical Knight of Dragons. This card's name becomes Gaia the Dragon Champion while on the field. You can use each of the following effects of Gaia the Magical Knight of Dragons once per turn. During main phase, quick effect, you can target one other card on the field. This card loses exactly 2600 attack and destroy that card. When this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, this card gains 2600 attack. So with our Spiral or Gaia Fusion spell, we have the option with Spiral Fusion to make this card become 5200 attack. So even if you destroy something and lower the attack, it'll still have the 2600 attack. But if it's a 5200 attack that's going into a defense monster, you can just swing for immense damage if you have your cards like your Spiral Spear Strike, because then you'll have the piercing damage since this is Gaia the Dragon Champion while on the field. And then also the 2 copies of Sky Galloping Gaia, the Dragon Champion. This card's name becomes Gaia the Dragon Champion while on the field. If it's special summon, you can add 1 Spiral Spear Strike from your deck or graveyard to your hand. And when this card declares an attack on an opponent's monster, you can change the battle position of that monster to switch it to defense so that you can hit for that piercing damage that you're meant to do with your Spiral Spear Strike, needing a Gaia the Fierce Knight monster and 1 Dragon type monster. So a little easier to summon this card as well, since you can use cards like Keeper of Dragon Magic also to summon out this one. Also 2 copies of Curse of Dragon, the Magical Night Dragon. Another easier fusion, just need a level 5 or higher dragon. So this one, each one has like a specifics for the dragons we use. So another fusion target for our Burning Dragon, which could also be used for the Sky Galloping on the field as well. Spell and trap options for adding from our fusion summon to target one in our graveyard to add back to our hand, depending if our opponent destroyed one or if we destroyed one off of reusing another card. And I also run the 1 copy of our Gaia Prominence, the Fierce Force. This card needs a Gaia Blaze, the Force of the Sun, which we are running in the deck as well, which we'll get to in just a bit. When your opponent activates a monster effect in their hand or graveyard, quick effect, you can discard 1 monster, negate that effect. If you do, destroy that card. And when attack, this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle. You can target 1 fire monster in your graveyard and special summon it, giving you your Curse of Dragon back onto the field for you to use also. But you need that synchro play to be able to go into, which I'll go over in just a bit. The last of the fusions, 1 copy of Alvain, the Essence of Vanity. We run 2 Ready Fusion, but if you wanted to run 2 copies of this card, you could just drop one of the link monsters we run, which include 1 Heretic Seal of Heavenly Spheres, 1 Barricade Board Blocker, 1 Underclaw Clock Taker, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, and the 1 Soldier of Chaos, with the rest of the extra deck being 1 Gaia the Dragon, the Thunder Charger, and also the 1 Gaia Blaze, as I mentioned before. Being a level 7 monster, you can use one of your level 5 Curse of Dragons and the level 2 Fusion tuner that we run as well for the Summon with Ready Fusion on the field to then be able to go into that extra deck summon. The big play with that card revolves around the setup that you could do with your Gaia the Cursed Dragon. If it's special summoned off of one of your Gaia monsters, then you can activate your go-to Ready Fusion, use that card for the fusion play with your monster on the field, and then go for the Synchro play using those 2 monsters to be able to summon out your Synchro monster, Gaia Blaze, the Force of the Sun. And then with this play, if you use, let's say, your Gaia monster for that summon, you could have used your Magical Knight to get that resource on the field. You then have the option for your 2 monsters on the field to then be able to use with your original Spiral Fusion play for your summon of your Gaia Prominence, the Fierce Force, because with this card you need 1 Gaia Blaze, the Force of the Sun, and 1 face-up monster you control, which meets the requirements with both of those cards to then be able to summon out your monster. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, always like updating this deck and definitely had some big changes since the last update for it, so felt it was definitely due for an update. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.